we have come up with stuff like Bitcoin treasuries in El Salvador. Like this is something we've heard, right, in New York for corporations such as MicroStrategy, now Strategy B. But there's no better place to have a Bitcoin treasury than El Salvador, because you can literally have a special purpose vehicle where you can register your Bitcoin on a balance sheet, accountancy rules for Bitcoin, special accountancy rule for Bitcoin, and deploy whatever strategy you want from there. You can acquire other assets using Bitcoin in your treasury. You can accumulate more Bitcoin if you like, and capital gains free, right? So in the long term, I guess we are in a great moment in time. So Bitcoiners should approach and explore what we have in El Salvador, and then from there we will have a lot to build from this baseline.
Awesome. So you guys mentioned that you've been kind of around the world, different conferences and stuff like that. What's your take then, as far as El Salvador's position on the global stage?
The country right now has a huge presence in all the media for positive things. Of course, the conferences we have attended are Bitcoin only, so there is also a main topic to talk about. But the takeaways we can like conclude of visiting all these countries is high interest of the country. People really wanted to know how they can do business here. A lot of people want to relocate also. I hope the migration regulation try to modify it on a better sense. They are kind of rigid at the moment, but nevertheless, as the way they are now, a lot of people come, relocate, become temporary residents, etc. People also wanting to know more which other type of businesses they can establish here in the country. They can fund it with Bitcoin, but they don't want to basically provide any financial services. Mostly have been interested in tourism, okay, or hospitality service, or even industries that they have not been like super common in this country, but they have the resources, okay? So they feel that this is a suitable jurisdiction because as Bitcoiners, they are not going to be, as Jose mentioned, chased out by the government or pay high taxes every year, even for, I don't know, governments that wanted to tax you for not even unrealized gains. That's super painful. So it's like they consider this jurisdiction as suitable place for build whatever that they are planning to.
Yeah. Awesome. And then as far as a regulatory framework, then in regards to other countries around the world, where does El Salvador stand?
That's something we get asked a lot, like how to compare jurisdictions, right? And this is not something we are the only ones doing, but there are even specialists around the globe comparing jurisdictions. And there's recently a report that mentioned that El Salvador was the top two jurisdiction for ventures around Bitcoin or digital assets. Top one was Switzerland. So you can imagine why. And the question is valid, right? El Salvador has never been a capital market top jurisdiction. But once you start understanding how the vision of building capital markets on top of decentralized technologies such as Bitcoin and other decentralized technologies as well, there's not a lot of jurisdictions with clear rules on building on top of the vision of digital capital markets, and especially the centralized ones. And even when that vision may be very early in time, the same as 100 or 200 years ago, stock exchanges were something new. Imagine where first movers on digital capital markets could go in the next 50 years, for example. And in this case, we are the first mover. So if El Salvador has a way to compare, I would say is certainty is the first thing, right? Not having a government that's against Bitcoin, and especially having avenues, legal avenues to build capital markets on top of that. That opens El Salvador to the world, right? The opportunity to attract and become attractive for institutional money and all these avenues that maybe we have never been in, right? So it's our job as well from the perspective of applying these regulations on helping institutional money investors, venture capitalists to see and prove and verify that in El Salvador it's possible to build capital markets to benefit from products like digital decentralized products built on top of Bitcoin vision in El Salvador. And around that, well, I would say it is true how El Salvador is kind of top of mind jurisdiction in the world to deploy this type of venture.